It is hard to miss the pain on Adrian Brown's face and in his voice as he speaks of his now deceased son, 10-year-old Alex, whose nude body fished from the Marter River 2 Thursdays ago. Me couldn't eat, me couldn't sleep, and anytime I start eat, my belly just feel full. The father told Jamaica Observer after 5-day period his son was missing. He said his last memory of Alex was of him going to school Friday morning. He couldn't remember the last thing he said to him, but said the boy was happy and laughing. Now that the boy's body has been discovered, the father's pain has given way to anger. I'm angry at the way it's being reported, Brown said. I am angry because the police are making it look as if the children went to the river unsupervised and drowned. And that is not the case. Remains of their clothes were found burnt on the riverbank. Up to a blind man could see that they were molested. What were they going to do? Burn their clothes, then jump off in the river? The man asked, his sarcasm biting. Alex and his neighbor, 7-year-old Giovanni Brown, not related, quote, open close, comma, not related, were last seen playing together last Saturday, some meters away from the nearby Holland housing scheme. So when you see the boy them live at the housing scheme, the Holland Estate housing scheme. Remember, you know, Alex and his neighbor, 7-year-old Giovanni Brown, not related, were last seen playing football together last Saturday, some meters away from the nearby Holland housing scheme. Cool. The autopsy reports released last week said the children died as a result of drowning, but having seen the state in which the bodies were found, the family contends that there were more to the story. Brown said there were visible signs of molestation as the boys' anuses were severely damaged when they were found bottom up in the water with Giovanni's intestine protruding. Protruding means it a push out. See, Brown said there were visible signs of molestation as the boys' anuses were severely damaged when they were found bottom up in the water with Giovanni's intestines protruding. He said both boys' tongues were hanging from their heads and their eyes were bulging. He said both boys' tongues were hanging from their heads and their eyes were bulging. He said they were told the boys were molested and strangled before they were thrown into the river, but that they died as a result of drowning, which was the reason that was recorded on the death certificates. So basically, they tell them, say, they molest them, but I drown them at the same time. Kinda nah make no sense, you understand? Brown explained too that the autopsy report showed that the boy's last meal was chicken. However, he said Alex had not yet eaten when he left the house Saturday morning, and the meal he had the night before was noodles. So they had them capture and I feed them and I do them beer things. Wicked bumbuckler boy. Yo, hey boy, I true want justice. In a more laughful way, no boy. Hey.
Big up Cyber Nation, you know.
So how come the last meal the autopsy showed was chicken? Brown queried. The father theorized that the boys were held against their will from Saturday, buggered and fed chicken before strangled and thrown into the river.
Big up Cyber Nation, you know.
Alex's mother, I'm not call her name, well, Cadian Palmer, is also finding it hard to accept the facts as given by the police and the medical pathologist. Romaine would never go river, she said firmly, calling the first of her 2 children by his pet name. From a girl drowned in the river years ago, Romaine said he would never go cause him say him don't want the same thing happen to him, she said. So me know him wouldn't go river. Palmer said her son first left the house about 11 a.m. to pick plums. Remember? Destiny tell wheel. The boy them go for pick plum. Destiny, did they tell lie? The woman for the life last night when I tell lie. People no follow. Him tell the people him say the boy them wanna pick plum too, you know, so you see them a pick plum, you know, this pussy hole, eh? Him be tell the people him say the little boy them a pick plum too. Cause him last see them. Moving on. He then returned, but left shortly afterward to play with his friends at a spot near the small wooden house he shared with his mother, baby brother and stepfather, Damian Chambers, in Zion. About 2 p.m. when he did not return, Palmer said she went in search of her son, but he was nowhere to be found. Family and friends launched a search for the children that night and the following morning, after which they made a formal report to the police. When the Sunday Observer visited the community on Thursday, Palmer's face did not betray the raw emotions her words conveyed. The mother of the two said she became increasingly distraught in the days leading up to her son's discovery, but it was the sight of her 10-year-old's body that had the greatest impact. If you ever see the condition he was in, you would cry shame, she said, pausing between thoughts. It was terrible. I thought I was going to go crazy. You could see that they were molested because why no other part of their body never mash up so? Him bottom bust up, and Giovanni's intestine falling out. If he had died from sickness, it would have been easier to deal with, Palmer said. Alex's grandmother, Eulalie Mitchell, described him as a very active boy who loved mathematics. You couldn't fool him with maths, she said. Him love play football, cricket and marble, and him love make things. Him would make coop to put birds in. She said he was so polite that even if he met strangers, he would refer to them as auntie and uncle. Every night he would hug up his mother before going to bed. If she lay down beside the baby, he would tell her to move the baby over so he could hug her, she recalled with a smile. He had potential, and he was advanced with technology. When it comes to phone, he could fix any problem, Mitchell said at her first grandchild as a former student of Falmouth All Age. A few chains away in another board house on the premises, Giovanni's parents tried to make sense of what had happened to their youngest son. They too were very angry with both autopsies report and police's refusal to help in their search from the beginning. So police never did want to help. Toxicity, him never walk free, man, run away. Just listen to the news, man. Everything in the news is how me I read it from the Gleaner, you know. The pussy, he run away. He run away. He didn't get where he run away. I catch him now.